Hey guys, welcome to Interstage Window. Oh my God, what's this?
It's
It,
a face! I
oh
know
my
I
God,
heard an omniscient voice in the background. I have a face.
it's true. Landon actually does have a face, y'all. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. I
I
wasn't sure for the longest time,
It's
but
been a
now we know.
mystery. All of these years, I am finally doing a face reveal. Just in shadowed darkness where it's really hard to see my face currently, but that's fine.
We're gonna fix that later though. Right now, we just want to make sure we can get through a whole stream with the camera working.
Woohoo!
But it worked last time. We just didn't actually show Landon's face. So that was the experiment, the little background thing that we talked about a week before last. So we're going to actually have her on camera going forward. So really, really excited about
It's a success. I'm happy about it. You get to see all the funny faces I make during stream because they happen quite often.
that. We just never were graced with your presence before to where we could actually see it. So, you know.
Truly.
All right. While I get the game going and stuff, Landon, what are we going to talk about today?
Today we are going to talk about RP rules and rules within a group RP. What rules we like, what rules we don't like, what rules are we consider necessary. Rules.
Oh my God, too many rules. I'm done
So
already.
many rules. But I mean, unfortunately, as much as we all love to live in an anarchic society where there are no rules, no hierarchy, rules do keep the peace and keep things running smoothly. So even if it sucks, they are a thing that helps people rule things.
It's true because the thing is, like, we're all about no unjust hierarchies, but the truth is, some hierarchies are just and necessary. And
Yeah.
so we're going to get into all of that in regards to running an RP group. So, very low stakes in that regard, but you still do need some rules. At least I've never successfully run an RP with no rules. If you figure out how, please let me know. Hit me up. I'm really curious.
Part of me, yeah, I'm like, I don't even know what that would look like.
Yeah, it would be really weird.
Oh, we start the day with Landon and her love.
That's right. And remember she's pregnant, so we'll see if
That's
we have the
right.
baby this time. All
Baby's
right, so
come.
yeah, so that being said, Landon, what's your favorite thing this week?
Ooh, that's a great question. So, I'm sorry, it's so many things ran through my head. One of the things though is that I bought myself a bike for graduation.
Oh,
And it arrived and it took me 4 hours to put it together, but I put it together by myself like the grown-ass woman that I am. Uh,
congratulations.
Thank you. It was very, very nice. It's a little beach cruiser. It's very cute. I live about a mile from the beach, like a white sand beach. So I was like thinking about it and I was like, it's really ridiculous driving around this area in the summer. And it's equally as ridiculous walking because I hate walking to not go anywhere. Like, it's my least favorite activity in the world. So I was like, a bike though. Riding a bike, I love doing that because at least you get to go places.
Gotcha, gotcha. I
That
guess
was
I'm more of a walker myself, but I had a bike as a kid and that sort of stuff, and they're very, very useful to get around quickly.
They are. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like after walking for 15 minutes, you haven't made much progress.
Oh,
And so
well,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm all about going places with intention quickly and fast. I am not a smell the roses while we're doing it kind of person. So,
Well, I can't really argue with that. That is definitely true. So you're right there for sure.
but what about you, Karen? What was your favorite thing this week?
Okay, so my favorite thing, I'm gonna give you a fake favorite thing, and then we'll talk about what I actually want to talk about. My fake favorite thing this week is the fact that we have Landon on camera. I'm really so excited for that. I think that's wonderful. We wanted to get Landon on camera for so long, y'all. Like just so long. Like it's hard for me to express. And we finally made it happen. Like what we've been doing this show for almost a year. Like we're about to be at our 1 year anniversary, and we finally got her on. Hey Jane, welcome. Happy to have you here today. Yes, we're simming today. We're simming. that's my favorite thing, but that's actually kind of a fake favorite thing because what I really want to talk about is the kittens.
Which
So
rightfully should, by the way. Kittens should be prioritized above me. There are very few things in the world that I think that's true on, and kittens is one of them.
yes, okay. So here's the kitten update, y'all. So I have a 4-day weekend this weekend. I'm actually going to be off on Monday and Tuesday. And at this point, like I told some of y'all that watch my Thursday streams, but I just want to update here too. So I told some of y'all that like the moms basically did everything for the cats for the first like month, but for this second month that we're almost done with now of me having the kittens, it's really been me. So I empty that litter box, no kidding, like 4 times a day now. They go through an entire bag of cat food in 6 days. It's ridiculous. Like I can't do it no more. So because of this 4-day weekend that we're having, I'm taking advantage of that to find homes for the kittens, and we have found homes for 3 of the kittens already. So we found a home for Midnight, we found a home for King, and we found a home for Big Girl. And then we're keeping Dragon and Oreo. So there's 3 more kittens that need homes, and we need to find homes for the 2 moms. I'm searching everywhere that'll let me search. You know, there's a lot of places that are like, you're not allowed to sell animals. Like, well, I'm not trying to sell animals, but they keep deleting my posts anyways. So, I mean, it's free. Like, I'm not charging anybody anything because these cats, as y'all know, have not been to the vet or anything like that. So, the adoption fee is please take them to the freaking vet. That's the fee. That's
Please
so.
take the freaking vet and please get them spayed and neutered. Thank
That's
you
right.
very much.
That's it. That's all I'm concerned about. So, you know, I'm not like doing any of that. But still, my posts keep getting deleted. Whatever. So what that means is that looking for homes for them, trying to find people that will take them, that sort of thing. And it's taken a lot of energy, but that's my favorite thing, getting 3 of the cats out of my house and working on for the other 3 and the moms to get them out of the house too. And
You,
welcome, Ty. So
you
happy
mean
to
you would
have you
like to
here.
slowly actually take your house back from the kitten mafia that's currently running it?
Maybe soon I can get my bedroom back because I do not have access to my bedroom right now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's where they've been quarantining because Coke doesn't get along with Queen. They both decided they have to be alpha cats, and well, that's just not going to happen. So instead, like basically Coke, if we let her out, she'll stalk the house and just like hunt down Queen. So you know we're not going to let her out, obviously. So they've been in the master bedroom this whole time.
Have you with the kittens that you're keeping, have you done anything with them?
Oh yeah, they we bring them out in the evenings when we're all there and we can monitor, how they're getting along with our cats. So, and we haven't really had any issues there.
That's
Queen was a little bit wary of the kittens at first, did a little bit of hissing, but there's been no fights. There's been no serious issues, and she stopped hissing even at this point. So, they're doing good. No problems there.
that's awesome. It's all
Yeah.
good
So,
news.
yeah, very very good. So everything's going good with the 2 kittens that we're keeping. No issues there.
Well, overall, it sounds like it's pretty good.
Hmm.
And hopefully, maybe a watcher or a subscriber or someone from a random website will come and take the kittens that you need taken away.
Yeah, so if anybody wants kittens, know that I'm still trying, today, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, still trying to find homes for them. So if y'all's interest is piqued, please hit me up. I'm in South Carolina in the larger Charleston area. So if that's somewhere that you can get to and you want a cat, please let me know so I can talk to you and we can get you a kitty cat.
Yes. Do it. I wish I was closer. I wish June wasn't so long.
Yep. I did, Ty, but unfortunately, I cannot ship to the UK. You'd have to come get it. So.
That okay, but can you imagine the Disney movie shenanigans that would be made out of that movie?
Oh my God, for real.
We
I
get
did have somebody. I
UK.
did have somebody from the Wolves Den come and get a kitty cat. Um,
Really?
yeah.
That's
So did
cool.
Drink Cat. I'll shout him out. But he picked up one. Oh, when I click away, oh, there it goes. I think this is how you spell his Twitch name.
That's
I think
awesome.
is this I don't know if this is the right person. But anyways, their name is kind of like that. So hopefully Soda Drink Cat that's them. I'm not actually 100% sure what their Twitch name is. But it's someone that's in the Wolves Den and they've been here. They're a viewer on the stream and stuff like that. And he's cool and he took midnight. So,
Midnight. Oh, they're all so
very
cute.
cute one.
All right. Well, shall we get into our topic then?
I think we should. How do we want to get started?
I think that we should talk about, again, like we kind of joked about it in the intro, but there should be some rules about making rules
Mm-hmm.
that we've established, or at least found that has really worked with us.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
starting about like what those rules are and why those rules are important. And these aren't rules that your group will see. This isn't rules that you'll actively be like advertising or saying. This is just stuff that you as an admin should follow and your mod team should follow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, and the first one is you need to have as few rules as possible, and your rules need to be quick and concise.
Yep. People want to role play. They don't want to spend a whole bunch of time reading rules, and the truth is, most role play groups, it's the same rules over and over. It's rare
Yep.
that you really see something brand new in someone's group rules that you've never seen before. Most of the time, it's all the stuff that you've already seen, just repackaged in a way that helps you understand that particular role play, right? So, with that in mind, like if it takes me more than a few minutes to read through somebody's rules, like to me, that's a problem because it gives me the impression that this role play is full of new role players that don't already know what's up, or like they're not really looking for experienced role players, or maybe the mods are too heavy-handed. Like I don't know exactly why, but those are like some of the thoughts that come into my mind whenever I see like rules that are miles and miles long. Like why are they miles and miles long? I can't really think of any good reason. So, that's
Yeah,
why
I
we're
mean,
saying keep your rules short.
it definitely feels like when you enter a group that has a mile-long rule list, I come to the conclusion that there either is someone holding the mod team hostage or the mod team really likes power,
Yep.
so that it can hold its players hostage.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
in which case, neither of those things feel like a fun thing to join when you're looking for a RP group to start writing with.
Because roleplay, I mean, it's a hobby at the end of the day, right? Like it's pretty low stakes, right? So like, I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen in a role play? Someone gets their feelings hurt, right? Like it's just not it's not like it's not that important. I mean, it is because hobbies are important, but in the grand scheme of things is what I mean. So when you
Yeah.
see lots and lots of rules, it's just kind of like, but why? Why are there so many? Like, why are they holding so tightly onto these reins? And in a practical sense, like in addition to that, the truth is that people read through your rules once when they first join, and they never look at them again. And the thing is they've probably forgotten 90% of those rules by the time they actually start role playing with you.
Yeah.
So, like, why did you put all that energy into having them read those rules when they're not going to remember most of them anyway? And they're just going to behave how they normally behave anyway.
Yep. Well, and like also, like you said before, and you just said that the rules really boil down to don't be a dick.
Yeah, most of the time.
Don't be a dick and play this certain amount. Like that's
Hmm.
literally what rules break down to.
For the most part, that's what most role play rules will end up saying in some way or another, with more specifics of what has to do with that particular role play. But
Yes.
basically, that's what they boil down to. And the thing is unless you're brand new to role playing, unless you're brand new to this hobby, you're gonna do that anyway. Like you don't need to be told. You know.
And yeah, and like when you start getting into the details of it, when you start being specific, like there's, and I don't even think that this is on our list. We've had lots of conversations and we've talked about on this stream how one of our rules isn't don't be racist,
Yeah, we don't have
because
that rule.
that's like implied.
Yeah.
That's something that is obvious. You shouldn't be racist. So therefore it's not even a rule because it's just how you shouldn't be.
I feel like it's covered in the like don't be a jerk
Don't be a
rule.
dick.
Yeah.
Um, but there's a lot of people who write their rules to include every little thing. Don't be
Yeah.
racist. Don't be transphobic. Don't be this. Don't be that. Don't do this. And it's like, okay, when you start getting nitpicky, it means that you're either A, you're leaving something out because you're guaranteed to be
Yeah,
reading,
you can't
like
cover everything in your
something
rules.
out.
That's just not
You can't
possible.
cover everything, especially if you're then adding to the rules. If you're like, oh, someone was really racist, and therefore we need to clarify in our rules that people can't be racist.
Like, actually, no, you don't.
Like, no, just
Your rules
they
do
shouldn't
not
be
have to cover.
racist.
Your rules do not have to cover 100% of the possible situations that you're going to face as a mod in an admin team. Like even our laws don't do that. If our laws covered 100% of everything, then we wouldn't even need a judicial system. We wouldn't need courts because it would just be like, all the courts would have to do is determine guilt. There would be no sentencing, right? Like none of that would exist because the rules would just be everything was covered, but everything's not covered in any set of rules. Even when we're talking about big important things like how to make everyone in a country get along and live well, right? Let alone
Yep.
a role play group. So you don't need to cover every single little thing. You can just say like at the bottom of your rules are enforced at the discretions of the mods. And that's it. That covers everything that you might have missed. Because you will miss stuff. You will have situations where you realize you need to go talk to a player. Some situation has come up, some situations happen, you got to go talk to this person, and it's not technically in your rules, right? But you still got to tell them to cut it out because it's for the betterment of the whole role play. That's going to happen no matter what you do.
Yep, exactly. So again, as few rules as possible, as quick and concise as possible.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, the other rule that we have that is an absolute rule to follow is that the mod team and admin team need to be held just as accountable to these rules as the people in the RP.
Yes. People are so monkey see, monkey do, right? Like if the admins break a rule and they don't see them getting a warning for it, then people are going to assume that that rule doesn't matter. And then if they don't value that rule already themselves, they're going to end up not following that rule, right? That's just how those things go. So, if it's not, I'm not saying that all of your mods have to follow your rules all the time. That would be We'll talk about later the specifics of rules, why that ends up being impossible. Basically, activity is why it ends up being impossible. However, if your mod does break a rule, you still have to go talk to them about
Yep.
whatever it is. You still have to activity check them if it's, in regards to that. Like you still have to do these things even if the person is a mod.
And I mean, like you said, it gets tricky and it gets complicated because there are issues here as far as like, oh, you have one mod who's not doing this thing. But if the standard rule that we're talking about is bubble RPing or something like that, you need to be able to call out your mod team because people are going to monkey see, monkey do, but at the same time, they're also going to they're also going to feel the injustice. If they see someone who has power getting away with something, they're going to know the unfair hierarchy. And really, that's not something you want in an RP where everyone is trying to build a communal story. You don't, there is a hierarchy in there because there's like inherently there's someone who created the game and is running the game, but you don't want that to be completely obvious in every aspect of the game.
Yes,
And
exactly.
if you are willing and letting somebody completely break the rules and holding somebody else's feet to the fire for that same exact thing, and one is a mod and one isn't, you're gonna hang yourself with your own rope. Like it's just not good.
Yep, exactly. And the thing is like, I mean, and we've talked about these kinds of things before. I don't believe in calling somebody out publicly, but like what you really want your players to be able to see is if they notice the behavior that once it's noticed, that you step in and that behavior stops, right? So that the
Yes.
players realize, oh, they must have talked to this mod because the behavior stopped. It only went on for a couple weeks and then it was fine. That's what you want to say. So when we say like call out the mod that's doing this, it doesn't necessarily mean publicly. I mean, if you have to, you have to. Sometimes that's what you have to do. But it can be privately too. So long as the behavior doesn't go on for months, then I think you're fine in that regard. But when somebody sees a rule breaking going on for months and months and months, they're going to be like, alrighty then. So that rule doesn't matter. Guess I don't have to follow it either. You know?
Or that rule does matter, but that person gets special treatment.
Maybe, yeah, especially if you see other people getting called out for it. Like, you
Yeah.
know?
Being like, yeah, so it really is, you have to be okay with holding your mods accountable to these rules. And your mods, you need to communicate that your mods are going to be held accountable to these rules.
Yep.
Again, with the complexities of certain things having a little bit more leeway. But for the most part, these are the rules. Everyone needs to abide by them, especially those that involve talking to other people.
Absolutely. And guess what? Landon just got her first baby bump. She is confirmed pregnant.
Look at that. I just love how free and utterly okay she is with walking around in her underwear.
Well, she's just in her house, so like it's kind of okay. We'll get her
No,
dressed
it's
in a second, but
great.
she's really hungry.
It's just my favorite thing that I'm like, oh yeah, no, I love it, because it's like, oh yeah, this is also how she proposed to her husband as well.
It's true.
Straight up in her underwear.
That is exactly what happened. She was in her underpants. Now, they were a little bit nicer underpants than this because she wasn't pregnant at the time. Now she's in kind of her pregnancy clothes.
Oh,
She's got a
apparently
baby
it just
bump,
all
but...
falls apart when you're pregnant. You stop wearing that sexy lingerie as soon as you get knocked up. That's what happens.
In The Sims 2, you do.
Romance is dead. Romance is dead as soon as you get knocked up.
Yep.
That's what Sims 2 is teaching us, ladies and gentlemen.
She's on leave now, so she'll get to stay home for a little bit. And we have got to get Malcolm a job.
He's really like not contributing.
He's not.
He came with the trust fund and then
we spent it all. We're gonna see if the athletics job is there today. If it's not, then I'll just get him something because he's got to be working if she's on maternity leave.
Jane, oh my God. Jane says, I stopped cleaning my toilet to come check in because I forgot we were playing Sims and heard Landon was pregnant with a baby bump. And I was like, what? There is
y'all didn't know?
No child inside human Landon. There is a child inside Sims Landon.
I mean, y'all didn't know, like, Landon's got a baby daddy and stuff. Like, do you remember her talking about that, like, a whole bunch of times on stream?
Oh, man, guys. The baby daddy is real. He has a trust fund. It's great. Not at all. However, taking applications, so line on up. I'll make a Google form. It'll be great.
All right, there's no athletics job today, so I think I'm just gonna get him the job in the business track. I think that's fine. He'll be okay with that.
Can he actively search for another job?
No, well, you only get 5 choices a day. I have like ways that I can get him more, but I have to put the career center in the neighborhood to do that with how I play basically. So we're not going to do that. We'll add some buildings kind of as we grow the generations, but until Landon has her first baby and we kind of go through start that first generation, it's just their house in the neighborhood. So I'll explain that kind of as we get farther in. He's going to take the business job.
They are ruling the neighborhood, in other words. A business job, just like his dad. It'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be fine. So we'll do that. All right. So I guess back on topic.
Yeah, no, and that third and last rule, hard, fast rule that we have about rules is that consistency is key. You will shoot yourself in the foot if you say one thing on the top of your list and say a completely contracting idea on the bottom of your list. Contradicting, not contraction. That's weird.
No, but it's true. And I've read role play groups that have rules like that, where it's clear that they never went back and read through them because the rules like don't make sense, or they contradict each other, or they're like just impossible to follow all of the rules at the same time, you know? So so you've got to make sure that your rules are consistent. And another thing is for a lot of players, the rules are the very first thing they're going to read, because that's going to give them an impression of how the mod team behaves and what kind of vibe the whole game has. So you want your rules to be that good first impression. Because if they're not, like if you've got inconsistencies in there, then you potentially lost someone before they've even looked at your plot or anything about your game to see if they'd actually be interested. You know, they kind of are like, well, I don't think I'll like the mod team, so bye, not even going to explore further.
Well, I love that. That was so cute. Anyway, sorry.
Romance is not dead.
The romance is not dead. Also, there's a dog barking around. Are we adopting a dog?
We can if she rolls the want for it. This one's got yellow eyes, so I think if you make friends with it, then you can end up being a werewolf. We're not worrying about that right now, but eventually we will.
That's so cool.
But they can roll wants for like adopting animals. So if
Ah,
they do that, then we might choose to adopt one. But unless they roll the want
fair.
for it, I'm not going to have them do it.
That's fair. Um, no, what was I saying? I forgot. No,
Oh,
it's
consistency with rules.
yeah, that consistency with rules. Also, it leaves people because there's a certain type of role player who really wants to stick to the rules. They are rules oriented. And that's not even a role player. That's certain kind of
There's
people who are
certain
very
people, that's
rules
how it.
oriented.
They want to follow the rules. That's what makes them feel safe and secure and all of that good stuff.
Yep, and that's what makes them feel successful. And sometimes they will also do their best to really hold your feet to the fire with the rules and the expectations that you are making. So if you have inconsistent rules, you are opening yourself up to people being able to sit there and be like, well, that's not what the rules say.
Yeah.
That's and arguing that. And it's not even necessarily saying that that's going to affect your game. What that does do, however, is affect the emotions towards that player. It affects your job because you're going to have a lot more conversations with your mod team about stuff if all of a sudden there's someone who is playing at those weaknesses.
Yep. And you have to be ready for that. You know,
Yeah.
if you're gonna be like that about your rules, you have to be ready and prepared for those conversations. Because people are gonna be like, well, your rules say this or that, or I expected this based on reading your rules, or you need to add this to your rules, or da 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 da. So like you have to make sure that you have everything set up the way that you really want it.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
it's a lot because like that's the other thing too, is that the last thing you necessarily want to be doing in an RP when you're supposed to be having fun is arguing your rules. Um and if you have written them with a contradiction in them, then there's a chance that you might not even really know what your rules read as versus what your rules say, or what you are trying to say. So what you're trying to convey versus what is actually being said. You might not have a clear idea of that because of how other people are interpreting it, and you are opening yourself up for a lot more work on the long end.
And it's kind of hard to know that until you've, you know, been a mod for a while and had a chance to really refine what rules you have. So like this isn't something that you necessarily have to get perfect the first time, but you know, we made a lot of adjustments to how our rules were in the first couple of years that we were running role play games. And since then the rules have basically stayed the same. But for a while they were getting adjusted and shifted a lot because we weren't clearly communicating what we wanted to communicate, and that was clear based on times that we had to pull people aside and be like, hey, what's up with this? You know, what's going on here? Why are you behaving this way? You know, and they were able to point to things in the rules that didn't make sense to them. And it's like, oh, well, you know, that's not that that's an excuse, because you should still like, you know, behave and be a decent person. But it helped us refine our rules. It helped us refine how we have those conversations, all of those wonderful things.
It also also a piece of advice with that, and I know, Karen, you have given this advice many times, and I know there are certain admins who don't feel this way, but if you like a set of rules that you find along the way, copy them. Take them. They're rules, right? Like it doesn't matter if you're like, oh, actually this communicates exactly what I want in an RP. It's just not the RP that I want, or it's not a genre, or it's an old RP that's dead, or X, Y, and Z. Take it. Just take it.
Yeah, they're not rules. Rules aren't like, I don't know, to me, like that's not even something creative. I mean, I guess you do have to get a little creative, but it's not the same thing as like, you know, a plot of a role play or something like that. So yeah, rules, I mean, I'm good with stealing anything because this is all free stuff, but rules especially. I don't understand why if somebody stole somebody else's rules, the other person would get upset. Not that I've not seen it. I have seen it. I just don't get it. I'm like, you didn't put any creative energy into that. That's just your rules. Calm down. But, that's a whole other topic.
And
But
it's
yes,
fine.
absolutely when it comes to rules. Absolutely when it comes to rules. Like, don't be afraid. Like, if you see a rule that's well written, that's like, this is exactly what I want, like, just copy it. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, or and if it's not the whole set of rules, if it's one particular rule, because you're like, hey, I never thought about having this rule of, I can't even think of a rule. Let me
Yeah, I don't know. Or
look
maybe it's
more at
like
this.
I never thought of doing my hiatus requirements this way, and I want
Yeah,
to change my hiatus rule to match this other rule that I saw, like, or something like that.
you can just take that. If you want to leave everything else, awesome. It's
Yep,
okay.
yep.
And anyone, in my opinion, anyone that has a problem with it, you have a problem with the wrong thing.
Yeah, like that's not the place to put your energy. It's gonna be okay. It's
there are
just rules.
there are many things that deserve your energy, and this particular issue, not one of them.
No, it's not.
All right. Shall we move on towards rules that we think are necessary?
Yes. Okay, so before we do that, though, I want to just explain that we've kind of broken this into three sections. We've got rules that we think are necessary. So this is like must-have rules, like you need to do this. If you don't do this, your rules aren't communicating the things they need to communicate, right? Then we're going to talk about rules we like. So stuff that we think is like, you should probably have this, but I guess if you don't, you could still run a role play. And then rules we hate. So we'll get to the spicy stuff at the end. But right now, we want to talk about rules that we think like you have got to figure out how you want to do these certain things, or I don't understand how you could run a role play.
Spicy stuff.
Spicy stuff.
No, and I mean, yes, I think that obviously everyone's way that they're going to do these rules are very different. But they are rules that foundationally we have had from the beginning, and I couldn't see us ever getting rid of.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, First and foremost, no out of character drama.
Yeah. Yeah. So, this is
Even
basically the
though it
be nice
happened.
rule. Of course it happens. I mean, it's a group of people. Not everybody's going to get along. You're not going to like everybody. Man, I mean, that would be a superpower. If you find it in somebody in the world that actually likes and gets along with everybody, let me know. I've never heard of this. Um,
I get along with absolutely everybody, and
no.
everybody gets along
Why
with
are
absolutely
you lying?
nobody.
Why are you lying, Landon?
You're so mean to me.
Girl, people think that I get along with everybody and then they're shocked to find out that that is not true. Yes, actually, I am human and I do
You
not get
are
along with
you are
everybody.
very you're very kind to a lot of people.
Well, that's true, but I have the amazing ability to be nice to somebody even when I don't like them.
Yeah, I don't
Wow.
have
Crazy.
that. It's the Sagittarius of me. I'm a little too blunt for things like that. It's fine. But no,
Ridiculous.
I mean, and here's the thing. This is, I think, where people get run away with that idea of concise and short rules.
Yeah.
This is where people make mistakes, because they will turn this rule of no out of character drama into rules of no talking about behind each other's backs, no clicks, no this, no that, and like make it 10,000 rules. When at the end of the day, you can have a blanket rule that if an issue arises, you have at least, the very least, this rule as a tool in your arsenal to throw out if necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, exactly. And people will, and so this is another thing with this rule is people think that they have to define what bad behavior is, but you don't. Because
Yeah.
even in the most like hardcore serious situations, like let's take a player was racist as an example. You might think, oh, that one's, super clear. You would always want to, ban someone that's being racist, da 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 da. And most of the time, that probably is what you're going to do. But it's still an interpersonal issue because it's a small group. So you still want to talk to both the accuser and the accused to figure out what happened, to see if what they're being accused of is really true. I mean, we've talked about that on stream before. People going around and pointing fingers about, you did this problematic thing, you did that problematic thing. And then when you ask for receipts, it's like, there is none. Like, it's where are they? Where is the racism? I can't, like, it literally just sounds like you two didn't like each other. I'm sorry. you know? So I don't think you need to define every possible bad behavior someone might have. You just have to make it clear that, if people are arguing and not getting along and can't figure out how to, be in each other's presences, that you as a mod team will step in and help them handle it. That's really what you're trying to communicate, because that's your job as a mod. If you got two people that can't get along, that keep squabbling, can't figure it out, then that is where you're going to step in. Ooh, Malcolm got a promotion. He's an executive
Oh,
assistant level 2 now.
oh, goody. We love a man who brings home the bacon.
He did. I mean, he went there and immediately got a promotion. So good job, Malcolm. We
It
love to
must be
see
because of
that.
it must be because of his family name. It's fine.
Probably. I mean, it's probably a little bit of nepotism there, but that's okay. That's okay.
I mean,
We
his
don't hate him
entire
for
family
it.
is dead, so he deserves a little bit of nepotism.
I mean, I guess if anyone does, right?
Yeah, it must be the orphan.
People felt sorry for orphan Malcolm, although he's an adult and is married and has a baby on the way, and so he's definitely going to be fine. But still,
I feel sorry for orphan Malcolm.
of course you do, honey.
Thank you. No, and I think that this also is this I think that this also deserves and opens up a conversation of how strict you want to be with your rules is also dependent on the the mod team in general. So like for us, if someone did out of character drama, that's not a reason to boot them, ban them, or even give them a warning. We have had plenty of people who have started out of character drama and who haven't gotten warnings. Or
I
at
mean,
least
it just
official
depends,
threats.
right? It depends.
But that's I mean, and that is depending on your style, right? That's
Hmm.
depending on your mod and admin style. How close to the fire do you want to hold those feet? How much are your rules law? Like all of that is up for debate. What this does is make sure that you have something in your arsenal to use should you need to.
Hmm.
And it just gives you that extra tool. So
Yep, exactly. Because what you don't want to get into is if you've got somebody that is really focused on your rules and is kind of rules lawyering and things like that, is you don't want to end up having to waste a bunch of time talking to them about like, but it wasn't in your rules. I didn't understand because you didn't put it in your rules. Da 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 da. And it's like if somebody brings that up, like you have to address it with them. You have to explain it to them. You can't just leave them in the dark, not understanding. But like that's such a huge freaking waste of your time and their time to spend time talking about rules lawyering instead of solving whatever the problem is that you're talking to them about in the first place, you
well,
know?
and at the end of the day, when it comes to these rules, is that the people who are there is a hierarchy. Again, it's that reference of there is that idea that there is an admin team and there is an admin person who gets to make the final decisions. And if you don't like the rules, you don't like how the rules are being followed out, it's your responsibility to leave them.
Yeah.
But as a admin member and a mod team member, then I would suggest at that point, like you are building rules to be able to use in future events to make your life easier.
Mm-hmm.
And so finding that balance of what does it look like to be consistent so that I am holding people to these rules, but not tying myself up so that my entire job is holding people to these rules.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And doing things like no out of character drama, and then getting to pull that rule out when it's a big thing and it's a big issue is a great way of doing it that we've found
Yeah.
and necessary.
Yeah, because people basically understand what that means. At the end of the day, they get that that means when you're going to be in a role play group, you have to put on your get along pants and be nice to people. And whatever capacity that means for you, whatever strategies you want to use for that, that's a whole other thing. But like people basically understand what that rule means is like don't be a freaking jerk.
Yes, you think they would understand. No, but
Well,
they
yeah. Well,
most of
I
the
don't
time
think I mean that goes like back to like I don't think anyone's a jerk on purpose, you know?
I
I
agree.
so
No.
yeah. Anyway, we need to move on to the next rule. So I'm going to jump to the next one. So the next one is not safe for work content. So exactly what your rule entails here, we're not going to tell you what you have to allow and not allow in your role play. However, you have to define somewhat what is allowed and not allowed in your role play to set player expectations. So what I mean by that is you have to at a very basic level define like is 18 plus content okay in your role play?
Yeah.
To what extent is it okay? Is problematic content okay? How do you keep things separate between in character and out of character if problematic content is okay in your role play? You know, that's what we're talking about. So when we say that you need a not safe for work rule, what we're talking about is you have to set player expectations for what they might find inside your role play that could be potentially, you know, upsetting or shocking.
I also think that this is an important rule to cover your bases legally here on this in the States.
Hmm.
Because if you there has been in the past people who have been charged for allowing minors to engage in or have been RPing or writing with minors and talking with people they didn't realize were minors in a 18 plus way.
Hmm.
And you need to be able to protect not only yourself from the possibility of that, but also your players.
Yes. And the
So
best
that
way to do
means,
that is to make it clear so that if a
yeah,
minor does sneak in, then it's like there was no tricking you. You snuck into the 18 plus club. We checked your badge. You had a really good falsie, but we
yeah,
tried.
exactly. Well, and just saying that alone, sitting there and having must be 18-year older to engage in 18-year older content, or we don't allow anyone who's under 18, or whatever your dependent rule is for NSFW stuff, you need to make that clear. And that provides that safety net for all of your players and yourself. Because knowing like you can only do as much as ask someone's age. And
Yep.
it's the internet, so they can either choose to be honest or choose to lie. But you are no longer held responsible because you have done your due diligence.
Yep, it's the
Diligence.
same. It's the same thing as when you go to a pornographic website and you have to put in your birthday, right?
Exactly.
So you just got to ask people what their age is. I don't agree with checking IDs because here's the thing with that: you
Yeah.
do not have the structure and setup to be able to keep their personal identification information safe. So I'm not, just to make this super clear, I'm not advocating for checking IDs. I actually think that is super dangerous. What I'm advocating for is like you got to define what people can expect in your role play, and if you are going to have 18 plus material, you have to have some kind of age date, right? Whatever that is.
Yeah, and also on that ID thing, I know that we're talking to mostly mod and admin people for this like episode, but I also want to sit there and go, don't join an RP that requires your ID.
They
Um
can't protect your information. It could
they
get
can't
leaked.
protect your information. Also, you don't know if it's a scam. Never send someone your ID over the internet.
Yeah, that's, I mean, pornography websites run by huge companies don't ask for that. They just ask for you to put in your birthday. And it's because they don't have the time, energy, or structure to protect your information. And if a large pornography company doesn't, do you really think some random person who set up a role play for free as their hobby has that structure? No, they don't. Like, use your brain.
And a lot of power, whether you are aware of it or not, comes with somebody knowing your full name, the state you live in, and your birth date,
Yep.
which is
It's like
all
that's a
three
lot to put
things.
together.
Which, even if you cover up the driver license badge, even if you cover up the number, even if you cover up all these things, all three of those things is what people are searching for. And it's, yeah, it just, don't do it. Don't
It's
do it,
so
please.
dangerous. It's so dangerous.
It's not worth the risk. They can't keep you safe. You don't actually genuinely know who's on the other side of that. You just don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep, not
PSA.
worth it.
But yeah, be clear about what your expectations are in NSFW stuff is. I like the way that you did this for triggering topics.
Mm,
Um where it wasn't very necessarily clear of, hey, like it was stated very clearly, we are okay with our players writing anything, and as a member of this RP, you don't get to dictate what people write. But if there are certain aspects and certain things that you don't want to be approached about, write them here, basically.
yeah.
That was attached to the rules semi, because it is again that like statement of, we are saying that our players can write anything.
Yeah. So we try to make it like available for people to do what they want, but also like if you state that I don't want to write, like a really common one example that I like to use is say you don't want to write miscarriages, right? Like, women and moms, it's a common experience and it can be super, super triggering. So it's a
Yep.
common one we would see because we would have a lot of adults in our role plays, right? So, if you don't want to write anything with miscarriage, that doesn't mean that no one's allowed to write a miscarriage. If somebody else wants to, they can. But when you in there, what that means is that no one should be coming to you and saying, "Hey, Landon, I know you're triggered by miscarriage, but why don't you write this miscarriage story with me?" Right? And
Yeah.
that's the level that we had, so that people hopefully felt both free to write whatever they want and also free to, protect themselves and be like, "No, WTF? Why would you message me that? I said that I wasn't interested already." You know?
Yeah. But again, it was making it very clear that as a admin team, we were okay and supporting writers to write whatever they have the freedom to write whatever plots they wanted to.
Hmm.
Um, and that may
Because
include
that was
triggering.
our values. That matched what we wanted to bring, what we believe builds the most
Absolutely.
creativity.
And if for your RP that doesn't fit, totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But we made that clear in our rules. We made that
Hmm.
clear in our rules and then gave our players a place to kind of talk about the things that they didn't want to be approached with.
Hmm.
But we made it clear. And that's basically what this rule is state what your as clearly as possible what your stance is on NSFW content. It should be 2 sentences. Like
Yeah.
because you want it to be as simple as possible for people to uh digest it and to cover your ass.
Yep. 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 I like that one. All right. What's our next one that we want to talk about, Landon?
Application acceptance.
Okay.
And this is just basically giving information on how to apply and the expectation with applying and what comes with it.
Because no
Because
matter what kind of role play you're running, even if it's like a quote unquote appless role play, there's still an app. You still got to
yeah,
tell the mods what the name of your character is, even if it's like totally appless, right? So no matter what kind of role play you're running, there's an application process.
yep. And what this really does is kind of protect you as a mod from not getting a million questions about have you read my app? When is my app getting turned in? Have you read my app yet? Have you read my app yet? Which happens still, whether you have rules or not. And sometimes justifiably so, because there are sometimes where the mods are like, oh, we'll check that out later, and then later
And
never
then later
happens.
never happens. Mods are humans too.
There have been a couple of times where it's been like, okay, dude, you turned this in 5 minutes ago. Let us breathe.
Like, we
Four
haven't even
people have
finished
to read
reading it
it.
yet. I'm glad you're excited, but whoa.
And this just gives your players information that every single player is going to ask if they are new to your RP.
Hmm.
Because they want information. They want to know, hey, when can they what is necessary for me to apply and when am I going to know?
Yep. And like imagine this. Imagine like you're job searching, right? And you go to the website of a company that you're really interested in. You think like, wow, this would be something that would be like a really cool job for me. And you click on their careers link. That's how it is. Like they'll have a careers link at the bottom. That's how most of these companies are. And you go there and the website is super confusing. You can't tell what listings they have, what they're looking for. You can't tell where you send your resume to. You can't, like imagine that. Like even if I was really interested in that company before, if I go to their careers page and it doesn't tell me things like where to send the resume, it doesn't tell me what openings they have, it doesn't tell me, anything about their HR policies, I'm going to be kind of like, just kidding, maybe never mind. Maybe I'm actually not that interested in this company. Maybe it's cool and I'll just move on,
This
So when
seems
you don't
really
have
not put together and complicated.
right. So like if you don't have anything in like your write up in your lore book in your rules that explains your application process, that links people to the application, that makes it clear what normal questions people have, then
Yep.
like I mean that's going to turn people off. And you have to explain it because you don't want to be re-explaining that over and over and over and over
And I
because like there's no
guarantee,
value there. People can read the rules and figure it out.
and you will. I mean, that's the reality is that you will read it over and over. You will have to say it over and over and over again if you don't include it.
Mhm.
This is something that I think I've certainly learned from teaching, and I'm sure you did too when you started
Oh
training.
yeah.
It's like, oh, if you do not assume anyone will be able to come to their own conclusions about information or situations.
No, people need to
You
be
will be
told.
asked by every single person. It doesn't matter, and even if you provide the information and provide it in several different ways, you're still going to be asked. But you will certainly be asked less if you do provide that information up
and
front.
and you want
And
to
it
give
saves you
people an
time and
opportunity, and you want to give people an opportunity to not feel like they have to ask. Like some people ask because that's how they clarify and they want to, but not everyone wants to ask. They want to
yeah.
just read the rules and figure it out. So like making it be in your rules provides people that opportunity.
Also, very quickly, this is the moment where I realized Sim Landon is not in-person Landon, because I would never just play football in the middle of the night while pregnant. Yeah, not in out of the millions and millions and millions of alternate universes, Sims Landon is the only an alternate universe of my life in which I would do this. I would just like to make that clear. Anyway.
Well, she just basically like wants to spend time with her husband, and I bought them a very nice bed, so they get well rested very quickly.
Fair. It just football.
I
It couldn't
understand.
have been a baseball. Couldn't have been anything.
Nope, it had to be football.
Had to be football. It's
Yeah.
fine. Anyway, yes. Application. Uh, anything else on that?
No, I really just I don't think it necessarily I don't think that this episode is the time to talk about like the any tips for applications or things like
No.
that. But you have
There's
whatever
a
your process is, you have to define it.
yeah, I think that listen to the entire Enter Stage Window catalog. We give lots of advice and tips on applications throughout many different episodes.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure that there is a Wednesday show of that too.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's definitely spare room episodes about
Fair.
applications.
Sorry, it left
Oh no,
my
you're
mind.
good.
Oh no, it's not artistic license, it's the other one.
Yep, no, it's there's spare room episodes about applications for sure. So yeah, I think that's good for that.
Character appearance.
Yes.
It's again, it's you people are not going to think like you. So if you want an RP aesthetic to be a certain way, you need to communicate all of that. And your rules are the place to communicate that. So if you want anime characters or home drawn characters or face claims and doing real life actors or celebrities, this is where you put it.
Hey, Bree. It's
Hi,
okay.
Bree.
It's okay. She's not popped her baby yet, so you
Yeah, you
haven't
missed
really missed the important stuff. You've just missed us talking.
Yeah, you missed the announcement that I was pregnant with a baby bump.
Yeah, so see, she's got her baby bump right there. Also, you missed that we've given some of the kittens away to homes, but I do still have baby cam if anybody wants to redeem it, and I'll show you all the rest of the babies that we still have. That's all you missed. That's all the important stuff. The rest of it is whatever. I mean, we're just talking about role play rules. It's whatever.
Yeah, we're just talking. That's all we're doing.
Okay, yeah, character appearance. So I think this might be a little controversial. I think this is very necessary, but I have come across people that are like, I don't care and I don't want that to be necessary, but I believe that you get a group all rowing in the same direction if they all are imagining things in somewhat the same way. And I
Yeah.
think enforcing a certain way of doing character appearances is a wonderful way to do this. So I don't necessarily advocate one way or the other. I prefer face claims personally, but I don't really care. So I don't really care what you choose, but I do think you need to choose something and tell everybody that their character appearance needs to be that, whether that's like a one paragraph description or whatever, all the other things that Landon listed, basically. So I do think that you need to choose something for consistency, and it's not because that it's not because you can't role play without that. Like you can, but I think it helps with everybody rowing in the same direction and wanting the story to all progress and all building a community together. I think it really helps with that community cohesion to have a consistent aesthetic.
I also think it helps with genre.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you are using anime face claims, you're gonna have more people who are attracted to anime type characters and anime type storylines,
Yep.
which is not a bad thing, But that means that that's going to be more of an anime genre RP.
Again, it's about consistency and the types of
Yeah.
things that people might write.
If you're going to have like a Game of Thronesy, like dark, dark fantasy thing, like there's a reason why we choose even if we like look down to the face claims that we choose and suggest, it's because it's that consistency. We want to even keep it within that. Now we won't go so far and say that you can only use face claims from this, that, and the other thing. But I think that naturally there is a consistency that comes with certain genres, and making sure you have that cohesion continues. And I'm also just don't like anime. Although super excited for the Sailor Moon movie that's coming out next week. But other than
Landon,
that,
you say that, but we're gonna have monthly media episodes, and if you don't think I'm gonna put some anime in there, you're crazy. We're gonna have you watch some anime, so get ready.
I'm gonna watch it doesn't mean I'm gonna enjoy it.
I think you'll be surprised. Anyway, that being said,
that's okay.
We'll see. Okay, that being said, yes, because we talked before about how we are with not safe for work content. Well, it makes a lot of sense for us then to use real life face claims, typically from sexy soap opera-ish shows, because that's the kind of stuff we write. No matter what actual genre, we're writing a lot of sexy soap operas. I mean, that's how we do. So of course we have face claims from actors that have been featured in CW shows or HBO shows or Showtime shows. That's what we tend to have in our role plays, right? Because that's what we tend to write. Whoa! Oh my God! Thank you so much for the raid.
Thank you so much.
12 people. 12 people. Holy crap!
Hello.
Did Rival? Somebody do a exclamation SO that'll do a shout out, and then your new Rival. And shout him out. If y'all aren't following Rival, y'all need to be. Rival, tell me, did you in fact get over it? He was playing Get Over It before. I was watching his stream before we started streaming. So did you in fact get over it? You'll have to let us know. And while he's letting us know, I think let's move to the next necessary rule: number of characters. So what do we think about that, Landon? What does that mean when we say you need to define number of characters?
So I think, personally for me, I would have actually had this on the list. But I think what the rule itself means is that it shows when you can get new characters, how often you can get new characters, and how many characters you can have.
Yep, this is another one of those things that kind of application acceptance. I feel like it doesn't matter what you define, but you need to define something, because people are going to ask. They're going to be like, can I have more than one character? They're going to be like, how often can I create new characters? What happens if I don't like my character anymore and I want to drop it, right? It doesn't matter what exactly you choose, I don't think, but you have to choose something so that people that don't necessarily want to ask you every little question have a basic idea of what's going on. Now, will this stop them from actually asking? No, they're still going to ask because they want to talk it out with you because they're new and they're nervous, whatever. But again, not everyone wants to ask the question. So you want to define something about that in your rules, how you do that. Rival, hey, it's valid. Sometimes life is about giving up and just playing cards. So I hear you. It's okay.
It's okay. We understand.
Absolutely.
But
that's why it's on here.
It's just making your life easier. It's just instead of having to answer the same question 20,000 times, you just write it out once and then you can go read the rules.
Or you can just copy and paste. I don't even, if somebody asks me a question that's in the rules, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't tell them to go read the rules because they probably already did and they just didn't understand it and they asked their question to me wrong. Or maybe they didn't and they're lazy. Whatever. I don't really care. But you know what you can do? You can still be nice to them and explain it, but you don't have to retype it all out. You can copy and paste.
It's again being nice to people.
Oh my God. Amazing. I know. Landon, why are you so... Oh. All right, have fun at the shop, Rival.
So yeah, that's what we got for that.
Yes.
And then your warning system. What, and I don't know if this was, did you, when you put this on the list, was this like the warning system as far as breaking the rules, or was this warning system as far as activity?
It's really more about like breaking the rules. So
Okay.
like if you don't follow the rules, what can you expect to happen? Right?
Yes.
So that's what is important to define. And this is really critical because this will give people an idea of like what they can actually expect as far as rule enforcement goes. So and they want to know, right? Because they want to know if you're like crazy strict or if you're not, because the people that are more rule followers probably are looking for something that's a little bit stricter. And the people that are like, dirty anarchists like myself, just want to not never read the rules and do your own thing. And so, they want to know that you're pretty lenient. We used a three strike system basically, and no one ever got to three strikes. That's like how we did. And this
Yeah.
is another one of those where like what exactly you do is a whole other conversation. But for the purposes of today, what we really want to impress upon you is that you need to define what you're doing, whatever that is.
Yeah, and I mean, and if that's, we don't agree with this, I can say we, the royal we, because I know you don't agree with this. Uh, a rule example of this could be that break any of these rules and you'll automatically get banned.
Oh
Like
God, I
that
would never do
would
that, but
be,
yeah.
we would never do that. However, we know people who would. Uh,
Well, that's not
and
true. Okay, there is one time that I do that because I say if you lie about your age, you are kicked, no questions asked.
yeah, but I
So I
meant more
actually
like,
do that for that one situation.
engaging in any of the rules. If you break any of these rules,
Yeah, I would never do that.
uh, you're gonna get banned. You're gonna get kicked.
Yeah, no, man.
Um,
That sounds like some police crap, and fuck the police. So no, I would never do that.
um,
But you can if you want to,
we
if that's how you want to run your
know
game.
we know some people who would.
I do,
Um,
yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that if that's how you choose to run your game.
Hmm.
You get to run your game however you want to, which means if we don't agree with it, it's none of our fucking business. We don't
I just
have to.
won't join. That's all there is
I
to
just
that.
won't play that way, or I'll purposely play the game of how fast can I get kicked out.
Oh my God, Landon, do not speed run getting kicked from people's areas. That's so
And I
rude.
like making enemies.
No, you
Um,
don't. You're such a liar.
I
Y'all,
am.
she talks this big game on here, but Landon's actually really nice in real life.
I'm not. I'm terrible. Um, it's the Taurus rising. It's fine. We're gonna go through my entire birth chart as an excuse today. That's what's gonna happen.
Sure. I mean, sometimes it's that you just gotta have that energy.
I just gotta do that. But no, I think that having that warning system, that clear, concise, what happens if you break the rules, is it means that also things are consistent. So if a mod member breaks the rules versus if somebody else breaks the rules, the punishment is consistent because the consequence, not punishment, the consequence is consistent because the
Consequences,
consequence
yes.
is spelled out and
Hmm.
already decided. And therefore can be navigated easily and consistently. If it's not there, then people are going to be upset because they're going to be surprised at the harshness of it, or they're not going to learn their lesson and continue to do it until it escalates to a point where they will then be upset because they didn't
Right.
recognize the harshness of
So,
it.
so real quick before I comment on that, Malcolm got promoted again. What a good choice you made, Landon. What a good
Such
husband
a
you
good,
have.
once we got him working in the business world, oh, he's such a good boy.
Well, the problem is now is he needs a creativity skill point, and he doesn't seem to roll once for building his creativity skill. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, he too
Um,
is good side. That's good to know.
yeah. He got promoted again, so that's good.
Hey, we'll
Um,
say.
yeah, so the thing is that when somebody joins your role play, you don't know what baggage they're coming in with. You don't know what other previous experiences they've had with other role plays. You don't know what other previous experiences they've had with friend groups. Like you don't know any of that stuff. So you don't know what kind of expectations they might have. And that's why defining your warning system and your consequences system is so important because people, if you don't define that stuff, they're going to make assumptions based on what they experienced previously. And that may have nothing to do with how you run your game, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't. Like that's the other thing too is, and you do the same thing. You're going to assume people are going to follow and understand your rules because of your previous experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, it's again, that assuming makes an ass out of me and you. Like, you just if you're going to make rules that you expect people to follow, just write it all out.
You got to tell them about it. People aren't psychic.
Yeah, because also if you don't tell them that this is a problem, or this is what happens when you break the rules, then it's almost not their fault, because they
Mm-hmm.
didn't know the expectations placed upon them.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Like imagine it in an actual, like imagine this in an actual high stakes situation. You're working at your job, right? You're working at your job, whatever. You're doing what you think is the best work that you can do, right? And then all of a sudden, your boss pulls you into a room and says, "Hey, we need to do a performance evaluation. You've been screwing this thing up. There's an athletics job, fabulous." So pulls you
Now
into a
he's
room
gonna
and
leave
says,
the job that he's been promoted at 3 times to go start
"Yep,
a career in athletics. Okay.
it's his dream
With
job. That's what he wanted."
his pregnant wife, due any moment. It's fine, Malcolm.
It's okay. That's what he wanted. So
No,
that's what we're gonna do.
this will make no, I understand. I'm just also want to yell at my fictional husband. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So your boss pulls you into a room and they say to you, "Hey, you've been screwing this thing up for the past 6 months." How is that gonna make you feel? That's gonna make you feel like, well, gosh, I wish you would have freaking told me 6 months ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the same, it's not high stakes in a role play group, but it's the same thing. If you pull someone aside and be like, hey, you've been screwing this up for a while, and we're gonna now ban you, it's like,
Punish you
wait
for
a
that.
second, where was the warning? Where was the initial conversation? Where were the strikes?
Yes.
When you jump straight to ban over something that's the first time you've brought it up, like that's not going to make them feel confident in your game. That's not going to make them be interested anymore,
It,
like you've
it
lost them.
yeah, it also makes you not a great leader. Like, I'll just go
No.
out and say that does not make you a good boss. It doesn't make you a good leader. It doesn't
No.
build a good community if you are
It's going to
just going
scare
to.
people.
Yeah, and it
Because if you
rightfully
think that
so.
person is not going to go around and screenshot those DMs and show it to everybody else, you're crazy. That's exactly what they're going to do.
Yep. So at the end of the day, just write what your warning system is, write how your system works. And your system can work any way it wants to. That's not going to be judged. Other people get to read that and either accept it or not. You get to design your system any way that you want, but at least communicate it to people. End of the day. Those
Yes.
are the ones that
Uh-oh. I'm so sorry, guys.
those are the rules.
Okay, there we
Oh,
go.
look.
Sorry. My computer's sort of freezing for a second, but it's fine.
Uh-oh.
It's okay, though. We're good now. Apparently, Sims decided to slow things down because y'all were having sexy time.
Oh, well. It's just so sexy. All right, we good now. Awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's all good now. So yeah, you just have to define it so that people know what to expect.
Yeah.
That's really what it's about. So that they can make the right choice of if they want to join your game or not.
Exactly. Do we want to move to rules that we like to include in our groups?
Yeah, let's talk about some rules that we like. Landon, what's a rule that you like?
I really do like keeping character interactions fair.
Yes.
And I think that this explains and requires some nuance on explaining bubble RPing and all of that.
Yeah.
But basically what this rule is trying to do is prevent clicks. It's trying to, we are a community. RPs are building communities, which means that everyone needs to play equal part in the community and should strive to get to know everybody and play with everybody. And I'm not saying that every single time you write a starter, you owe, or even make a character, you owe everybody a response or a starter or have to get to know everybody's character. Like, that's not possible. But you should be willing and open to the idea of playing with every person's character, or not just being like, oh, Karen, I only like Karen, and so I'm only going to play with Karen.
Mm-hmm. Now, not to say that you can actually 100% prevent that. I don't believe that you can.
Oh.
You're going to have people that, people have preferences, and that's just how that is. but you can at least foster a community that is less clicky than it has to be. Put it that way.
And realistically, like, even you as a player, you're going to have plots that you are more excited about than others.
Hmm.
And there's no fault in that. But trying to then sit there and say, but they're equally as important. So when it's not even how we run our bubble, is that our bubble RPing is basically if 2 weeks go by without a response, you're gonna get a strike. For
Yeah.
one, like one person
It
doesn't get a response, but other people do
yeah.
for 2 weeks in a row. It's, or is it 3 weeks? It was
No,
one
it's
of,
like it ends up being 3 weeks because it's basically like we'll warn you for 2 weeks, and then on the third week, that's when you actually get like the warning or whatever. So it ends up being in effect 2 weeks and some change.
yes. So it really is like this, hey, you need to remember that these things are not just the only things that you have going on. That you should participate with other players.
Hmm.
And it's okay if you like or are very passionate about one plot line more than the other, that's, or one character more than the other, or X, Y, and Z, that's okay. But we're not gonna just click off. We're not just gonna say, hey, these are my two people, and these are the only two people I'm gonna write with. Because then you should just write in a three-way.
Yeah. Like, why are you in a group? Like, you should just
Yeah.
be writing with those people.
And also recognizing that not everyone's going to get along in an RP, and that's okay too. But it at least, what it does is it writes the rule and passes that message that we are a community and we want you to strive to write with everyone at least once.
Yep. Yep. Even if that goal is not achieved, which it won't be, you at least want
Yeah,
to be doing the best that you can to foster as much community as possible.
absolutely. Like, and it is that, and it's one of those rules that, like, I like how we came up with enforcing it, because I think if you don't find a middle ground of enforcing with like the bubble RPing, it
Hmm.
can get really dicey really quickly.
Yeah, like I hate when I see rules that like you have to role play with everyone. Like, no, I do
Yeah,
not. If I like everyone in the RP except for one person that really annoys me, I'm not going to role play with that person. I'm sorry, but my time is precious. I'm not going to
yeah,
waste my time on somebody that like high key annoys me. Sorry.
no, yeah, and that's totally fine. Or even like, I don't have the time to RP with every single person. If there's 20 people
Yeah.
in this RP, I don't have time to do 20 threads.
Yeah. You just
especially
might
if
not.
especially if I want to push a narrative story, and a
Yeah.
lot of those threads might not actually contribute to that narrative.
Yeah. So it might be
It's
in a situation where you have time to role play with like maybe three people, right? And that's all the time that you have. So you do your best to spread that out, and vary it up, but at the end of the day, you still can't play with everybody.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly, Brie. I think in regards to keeping character interactions fair, in addition to bubble role playing, I like when I see a role play that explicitly says like no god modding, no power playing, no of those common role play faux pas, right? Um, so you don't have to like spend a lot of time on this rule because most people know what god modding and power playing and these things are. So I just
Yeah,
like to see but I like to see that in the rules. Like because it lets me know that the mod team understands that this role play is collaborative. We're not in competition with each other. So if you do god mod, if you metagame, if you do things like that, and someone brings it to the mod team, that they're going to handle it, right? And like
yeah,
this is a rule that we like because it's not necessary. Like you don't have to do this because you're covering it in your no out of character drama, right? In the be nice. But to me, it helps me understand that like the mod team values the role play being fair too.
exactly. And if something happened where I felt like, even if it was an accident, it means that you could go to the mod team to discuss it and to
Yeah, if you
navigate
need to.
through the situation, and that the mod team is willing to navigate through the situation, because sometimes situations like this are hard to navigate through. So that the mod team is really in full support of doing that, even if it was an accident, like even if it wasn't purposeful on the person who god mod or metagamed part.
Yeah, exactly. Like they'll help you
um
out with that situation.
yeah, it leaves it again is building that community in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um Another great rule is activity requirements.
Yes.
As someone who really often needs the possibility of being yelled at in order to be inspired to do anything, um, activity requirements are great for me because and I mean that in a jokey way, but also in a completely serious way, that it's like, oh, sometimes I get in my own head, my own anxiety. The week has gotten away from me, and it's like, oh man, I need to be able to get these replies in,
Hmm.
and I need to just do it. It like forces me to just do it, especially if I'm struggling with writing or a lot's going on in my life, and that's really nice. Like it keeps me honest and keeps me as like part of the group, and it also makes sure that that means not everybody is waiting forever on me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I think so. Activity requirements, this is under the rules we like because I do know that some role plays don't necessarily have activity requirements. And if you're running a group with a very small, very, very small number of people, like even smaller than I typically do them, then maybe you don't need them. Or if you're running a group that's like, hundreds of people and you're just not gonna be able to keep up with it because you've got a massive group. Like I could see that. But I don't know how you can run a group the style that we tend to run them, where it's like 20ish people and it's a lot of story and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can run that and not have activity requirements. Like people just won't will stop posting if you don't remind them, I feel like.
Well, again, like those activity requirements too can be completely unique to how you choose to run your role play. So
Yes.
your activity requirements could be every day. Your activity requirements could be every week. It could be once a month. It could be anywhere in between any of those. And
Hmm.
that is something that is up to you. But I do agree that having that is something that really does help with making sure an RP stays interesting.
Hmm.
Because we've all been in that situation where it's like, oh, if I don't have to post this today, then I might do something else. And then one day turns into 2 days, turns into 3 days, turns into a week, turns into a month. All of a sudden, the RP is dead.
Yep. Yep. People are
That's
busy, right? And it's easy to
yeah.
get caught up in like, your work or your school or, some other hobby or whatever. So I just think the activity requirements are really helpful to get people through those times where they're distracted with other things,
I agree.
right? And that way they're constantly and regularly reminded so that they can make the right decision of whether they need to be staying in the role play or not. Because this is what happens when you don't have activity requirements. People will just sit and stay in the role play and refuse to leave even though they're not interested, even though they don't care, even though they don't want to be there. They'll just chill out in the role play, right? Because no one's going to do anything about it.
Nope. I mean, yep.
Yeah.
That's said beautifully.
Yeah, and nothing kills a role play faster than a bunch of dead accounts sitting there that not actually role playing.
Yeah. Or waiting on a bunch of people. Like that's the other thing too, is it's really discouraging if you're suddenly like, oh, I have no threads this week because everybody else didn't write back.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
Uh,
kind of sad. Then it's like, okay, well, is this worth my time anymore? When that
yeah, and
happens, that's what you start thinking.
as someone who has been on both ends of that, it sucks to be on both ends
Hmm.
of that. But it's also something that is a slippery slope. And if you as a mod, your responsibility is keeping this RP alive, then really activity checks are a useful tool, and then being able to have it all spelled out so it never changes through the course of the RP, that people know what kind of commitment they are making, because if they're only available to do once a week or once a month, um they can. But at
Hmm.
the same time, like, oh, if they really want once a day and they go into a once a week activity, then that's their own fault.
Yeah. And it's like they bit off more than they could chew because you told them, you warned them.
Yeah, or they didn't bite off enough that they're expecting other people to do once a day or really fast replies, and it's like, no, dude, that's not how this RP is built.
Yeah. I had a question one time in the cafe where somebody was like, how do you feel about somebody that's just meeting the bare minimum activity requirements? What do you do about that person? I'm like, nothing. If you're unhappy with that, then you didn't set the right minimum for your group.
Yeah, then they're meeting the requirements. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah, so make sure your activity requirements actually match what you expect people to do. Because somebody's going to do the bare minimum. If you're not going to be happy with that, then you need to rethink if that's really your requirement.
But also give yourself room. I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's something that we struggle with too, is that like summer's coming up. Life's about to not be busy for a lot of people who are going to start RPing, which means like all of a sudden, once every 3-day activity sounds totally doable.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden school starts or work ramps up again in the fall
Yeah,
or
and then it's
this, that,
not
or the other
doable.
thing. And it's suddenly not doable. You can't just change the RP expectations of your group.
Yeah.
Because like that doesn't work, because again, people are agreeing to something when they sign up to for something, and you can't then just like be like, just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going down to make it longer is a little bit more okay and plausible, but like going from like 1 week to 3 days, people
Oh
would
God,
be
that would never
like,
work.
I'm gone.
People would just bail.
Yeah, it's a great way to kill an RP.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the activity requirements. And kind of on the same scale of that is hiatus requirements.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that's really, really great at having this in the rules and having this be clear is that you are 100% okay with hiatuses.
Yeah.
I think communicating that right off the bat will be awesome, and then just showing like what is required in that is something that means that it's easy access. That if someone needs a hiatus, it doesn't mean that they have to jump through a million hoops,
Yes.
which is awesome. Like
Yeah, for
communicating that
sure.
when they don't need a hiatus, making sure that that's clear from the beginning is something I think is really, really important.
Absolutely. Because people want to be able to take a hiatus, so you need to communicate like how that's supposed to happen, right? And what exactly your hiatus requirements are, kind of like the activity requirements. Like it doesn't matter necessarily. It really depends on what kind of role play you're running and who you want to attract. But you need to have something because you don't want people to think that once they've joined that they can't take a hiatus if they need one, right? So I guess this is one of those things that like depending on the audience that you've cultivated, um, it's like it's not a must have in your rules, but when I don't see it, it makes me nervous. So I really like to see it.
It's it's tough.
Yeah,
People
it's
should just
tough.
be okay with hiatuses and make that information accessible and easy, because when people need hiatuses, sometimes it's really hard to ask for one.
Sometimes it
Um,
is.
and so I would advocate 10 times out of 10 to make it really simple to ask for one. As a like mod team, not make it like a huge thing, a huge explanation, just asking for one and having a date of returning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like
That's
how often are people allowed to take hiatuses? I think that's
Yeah.
good to define. And
And then also making it
yeah.
clear that it's okay to come back if you need to take longer of a break.
Mm-hmm.
That,
Yeah.
oh, hey, 1 week, we give hiatuses for 1 week, and 1 week's not going to be enough because you're really going through something.
Yep.
That's okay.
Hey, Landon's
Um,
really going through something right now. Look at that.
Look at that!
Oh my God. Okay, y'all.
Oh,
Hopefully we have a boy because
he's
we have
so
a
tiny.
we have a name in the queue. We have a name in the queue for if Landon has a boy, but if she has a girl, we don't have any names in the queue. So, we'll have to see. Let's find out.
Ooh, Oja Kaplonabana.
It just looks so majestically like,
Uh,
oh my god.
the dresser's in the way. Dang it.
Dang it. Did the baby just like pop out of her stomach alien style? Oh, that's cute. That's real cute. Also, a newborn should not be
Oh,
taken.
oh, and it's a blonde baby.
It's a blonde. I mean, daddy and mommy are blonde, so.
Yeah, so it was okay, it is a baby boy. Okay.
A boy!
Tormund. So okay, so Tormund is the name of the baby chosen by Jane.
Love it, Jane. Tormund. Malcolm, Landon, and Tormund. Oh, that poor family. Oh,
Oh,
I'm
look at
so
that.
glad Malcolm is so happy. That's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I think and then sitting there and being like, hey, it's okay if you take longer than a week. You can always reapply.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever it is that you want people to do. Um, I like to see that defined because it lets me know that like life is okay. Hey, cucumber cow. Did you see Landon have her baby? We have a little baby boy named Tormund.
Marty.
So we need some more names in the queue because we're definitely going to try to have another baby for Landon, I think. Hopefully she'll roll a want for that and we'll have her another baby. So we don't have just Tormund, so we need some more names for what y'all want. It's a channel point
An
redeem.
heir and a spare. I mean, this is the legacy challenge, so
Exactly. We need an heir and a spare. That's right.
at least.
At least. All right. So I think that probably brings us to our last category, right? Rules we hate.
It does.
It's spicy time, y'all.
It's spicy time.
Okay. Landon, do you want me to start or do you want to start?
You start because I know
Okay.
how passionately you feel about this one.
Okay, so there's a particular rule that I hate with a passion. And I'm very sorry because I know some of my friends actually do this. And I don't hate you guys. I just think you're wrong. But it's okay. I'm wrong sometimes too. It's not a big deal. Okay, so here it is. Here's the tea, the thing I hate. Passwords and rules. It's the worst. It's stupid. Here I am here to tell you why. This is the freaking dumbest thing. Okay, so what you think you're doing with a password and a rule, I know this because I've asked people like that have these, like why, what the hell. You think that you're like guaranteeing yourself somehow that people will like, oh, this like they signed off. It's like they signed off on your rules and they're gonna remember them. But let me tell y'all the truth. 5 minutes after people read your rules, they forgot all of your rules. Okay? They don't care. They don't remember. So this is the thing that your rules really need to do is be there as a tool when you need to talk to players, okay? And making people hunt for a password doesn't mean that they're more likely to read or follow your rules. It just doesn't. What makes people more likely to read and follow your rules is if you make them consistent and simple and easy to read, okay? Not having miles and miles of rules is what makes people read your rules. If you have passwords in your rules, all that makes people do is hunt for the password. It does not make them actually absorb or understand your rules any better or follow them better in the future. Like it does nothing but make you believe you did something. Like it's all false. Okay, that's just not how brains work or how behavior works. It's just not. Okay, little rant over. Landon, if you had any comments about passwords and rules, go for it.
You know what I do? You know what I do when I see that there's a password for the rules?
What do you do?
Hit Control, and then I hit F, and then I find the password, and then I don't read any of the rules.
Well, I'm gonna give you all the tea, and like this is bad. Like don't
exact opposite of what you wanted it for me to
because
do.
It just makes me mad. It makes me mad, and it's like
of the fact that I'm resentful of the fact that I am being told to go on a scavenger hunt for something that I don't want to read anyway.
Yeah, because this is the thing. I'm reading the rules to try to figure out if like you have the tone and everything that I want. Okay, in a role play. I'm not reading the rules because I'm going to follow your rules. Like that's the truth. I'm going to behave like me. And I don't and in role play, I'm sorry, it's just too low stakes. I'm going to behave like how I want to behave. The reason I'm reading your rules is to see if my behavior lines up with your rules. Okay? That's what I'm doing. I'm not actually going to modify my behavior. I'm just not going to join your role play if my behavior doesn't match. Okay, that's what's happening there.
I
think most role players are the same. Like, why would you join a role play where you thought the rules were making you not behave like you? It's just a role play. You can find another. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I just sit there and I go, it's at that point, I'm like, I succeeded in the thing. I have learned no new information, but I also know that the rules didn't say anything interesting anyway. That's my thought. And that's not what you want. That's not what you want someone who is joining to walk away from. But that's my thought when I see a password. I'm like, must beat the system, learn nothing.
Well, it's true, right? It's true because like when it comes to like boring stuff that you're making people read, like, because the rules, they're not interesting, they're not your lore, they're not your plot, they're not any of the cool stuff, right? So people really don't want to read it. They're reading it for their own purposes, or because you ask them to, right? And it's the same thing as anything else. Like, at work, when you get assigned, like, discrimination and harassment training, like, you already know all the information in there, and yet you're having to sit through the training. Like, it's annoying and boring. Are you really paying attention? Like, no, you're not, because you've heard this 60 gajillion times, right? So it's the same thing with reading rules. It's the same thing. So that's why passwords have give me such a negative reaction. So when you have those types of trainings, right? When you have like discrimination, harassment training, compliance training, safety training, things where you have to do the training because the regulations say you have to, but people have already heard it a gajillion times, so they're really bored. You have to give them the why and the whiffim, the what's in it for me, right? And that is why we say your rules need to be short and consistent and all of those things we talked about at the beginning, because that helps you communicate the what's in it for me, the whiffim for the player of reading your rules, and the why your rules are important, right? So instead of putting a password in the rules, if you can't get people to follow your rules, don't do that. Don't do a password. Instead, figure out why people are joining your roleplay that don't follow your rules. There's a breakdown there. People aren't understanding them at some level, or you've got something in there that's not possible to follow because of other setups and structures in your roleplay or whatever, right? That's what you need to do. Password will not solve your problem.
It won't.
Nope.
It's well said. It's also like, yeah, it's treating adults like children too.
It is. I'm sorry. And to my friends that use passwords and rules, I get why you do it. If I haven't convinced you and I've just pissed you off, I apologize. I promise, like, I will never tell you this one-on-one because it's your role play. You do what the hell you want, but that's how I feel.
No, I understand the logic behind it. It just is
But it doesn't work.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, logic doesn't actually pan out the way that it's
No.
supposed to.
Yeah.
So, all right. Shall we move to the next one?
Yeah, you can take the next one because I feel like I get a good rant. That was pretty good.
No, you're good. I mean, I hate this one. This one drives me crazy. RP lock.
Yes.
Okay, so also known as time lock or anything like that. This is where a person has to write and focus on one thread at a time in order to keep the timeline of the RP a little bit clearer. But it's so limiting and so incredibly complicated, and just doesn't build community, in my opinion. Like,
because what if you accidentally choose the slow player?
Also, yeah, you accidentally choose the slow player. Also, our peers are notoriously terrible at ending RP threads.
Uh-huh.
There have been threads that I'm like started out as a 10 out of like 1 out of 10, 10 being like the best thing in the world, and slowly start to dwindle down to a 3 because we didn't end it at the right time.
And you just kept going and going and going.
Because everyone, and I've ranted about this before, but everyone in this hobby is terrible at ending things.
Mm-hmm.
And it just is so frustrating because then all of a sudden you're in this RP lock where you're forced to be in this thread. Both of you are socially awkward. Neither of you wants to end it in order to like not insult the other person, but at the same time you hate what you're writing. Way to kill a muse.
Now, to be fair, some role plays do get around this by having RP lock, but also being like, oh, well, you can have 2 threads at once or 3 threads at once. But,
No!
like, I don't think that fixes it. At least it doesn't for me. Like, I know how much time I have. Let me decide how many threads I can do. And I don't know, maybe this is the problem and maybe this is the big difference. I don't care about the timeline. If I screw up my timeline, I will work that out. I don't need a mechanic to work it out for me.
No one is paying enough attention to care.
No, they're really not.
I mean, if you have a character death or something that's like really big that then doesn't work, like that's a thing. But like no one genuinely is paying enough attention to give a shit.
Yeah, most people aren't reading other role plays. I mean, they might be, if it's like particularly compelling or they're
But
your
even,
best friend or whatever, but
but
generally they're
even
not.
then, no one's like, oh, but this is happening before this thing and that thing is happening after that thing. Like, no one is putting all of that together. They have some idea of when it's happening, but they don't need to know like this is happening on June 12th, 2037 at 6 p.m. and this other thread is happening at June 12th, 2037 at 7:23 p.m. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be that big of a deal.
really
Um
doesn't.
it's really really hard. Like it's something that I also, what it does is it um stifles my control of being able to narrate the story I want to tell.
And that's
If
the
I'm
other
only
thing. Role players are
allowed to
control
have one
freaks.
or three threads at a time.
Yep. And that's the other thing. Like, role players are control freaks. Like, all of us are, right?
Yeah,
To some degree, at least.
we're
And whenever,
storytellers.
yeah, so whenever you take the control away from the player, and give it to the just solely the mod group or the mechanics of the role play, that's so annoying. It's the same thing as like a good dungeon master in Dungeons and Dragons says, "I know you failed that role, but that makes no sense for your character, so you didn't actually fail that role." Right?
Yeah,
It's like you want that. You want that.
yeah, exactly. And I just some stories get told faster than other. And you know what it would actually make me do? And Bree made a comment in the chat of what it would make her do. But for me, what it would make me do is it wouldn't make me write with other people. It would make me write with the 2 or 3 people that I was going to ship with.
Yeah.
Or like it would make it bare boned down to the what is an important narration plot line that I know will go quickly. It won't open me up to new writers. It won't open me up to new stories. The improvisational, because of just how I write in general, the improvisational of everything would be gone because I wouldn't have to adapt to other people's writing because I would be so focused on writing with 1 or 2 people that I'd have stuff plotted out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It just it's so frustrating, and I think it stifles creativity for something that I'm not sure gains anything.
Yeah. I
I'm not
think what
sure.
you gain a sense of control. You gain a sense of like it's harder for people to kind of like meta game and force certain plots because there's a strict timeline. Um, stuff like that. So I think there's a benefit of it for younger role players that have no plotting skills. But like as soon as you develop good communication and social skills and plotting skills with your fellow role players, the benefit goes away completely.
Yeah. Bree says, I think if I was told how many threads I could have, I just wouldn't want to write. A bonus to having as many threads as you want / can handle is that if I need a break from something, I can go to something else. Not to
Mm-hmm.
say that it's only bonus, but you're not going to put out the best reply you can if you're feeling forced. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
And sometimes like you need that one thread to like just then make somebody else, like make another muse wake up or something.
Yeah.
Um, it just, yeah.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's, I mean, and I know that I like don't want to step on toes to people who really like to write this way, but for me, I feel like that's way too controlling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I know
not.
it makes me feel
It's
controlled.
it's taking away. It's taking away the RP
Yeah.
part of it. Like it's not.
There's no more emergent storytelling then because
Yeah,
you have
because you're not
totally lost
emergent,
your ability to control anything.
and then you're at the mercy of another person.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a singular other person. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, 'cause with RP you're always at the mercy of another person, but it's like one singular person, and
Yeah.
that just sucks. Like it just is not. It's no bueno for me.
Yeah, I can't handle it either.
Yeah.
I remember like it used to be the exception, like nobody did it that way. And then on Discord for whatever reason that it got really popular and I'm just like, "Oh my God, like why? Like
Yeah.
why?"
I also recognize that I've never played in a RP that way.
Oh no.
So that's the other thing too. Well, I mean, I've played in an RP where it was the opposite,
Mm.
where where time wasn't fluid, so it was RP. It was you had to be online when you wanted to write.
Oh.
And that was chat rooms RPs, right? It was like the way back when there were basically only chat rooms.
Yeah, I do
Um,
remember that.
and like, oh, cool, like I'll have a
But I could
character in
never
my
do that
character
now.
plan a date for the next night, which means we both had to be on that next night because things were happening in real time.
Yeah,
I 100% couldn't do that now. I don't have the time. And
yeah.
also like when we were doing that we were doing one-liners. Like
Mm-hmm.
I write very differently than how I wrote when I was 16.
Right.
Um, but I've never been a part of one where I've been forced to write one thread at a time. But I just know me, and I know it when it's something that I don't even fathom liking.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't go back to the old like chat room way that they used to do RP lock with time lock like that. And I tried like briefly at one point to do that on Discord, and it just I couldn't handle it. Like I was like, why is your roleplay set up this way? This is so dumb. Oh my God, oh my God. Like I couldn't handle it. So, that was the one and only moment. Not that I typically join other people's roleplays, unfortunately. It's just not something I have time to do. But yeah, that particular piece was a huge turnoff.
I no longer have the patience for other people's RPs.
Wow. The
I
tea.
just don't have the patience for RP in general at the moment.
Yeah, so for those of
Why?
you guys that don't know, part of the reason we're doing this episode today is because Landon and I currently, to get our RP fix, are playing some tabletop games. We're not really doing text-based role play in groups at the moment, just one-on-one and in tabletop games. So we're trying to do some of these episodes that we had planned before this knowledge has left our brains.
Because 7 years of running RPs is just gonna be scrubbed from our minds.
I mean, you say that, but like you do forget things when you don't
You
do
do.
them
Oh,
regularly.
absolutely. No, you absolutely do.
Yeah.
So, last one.
Yeah, last one. Any requirements about who you play or write with?
I
I don't like this.
Yeah, I mean, this is again we talked about a little bit earlier, where you're required to play or write with everybody, like at a time. Like you have to have a thread with everybody. And then I believe one of our guests, I want to say Sasha, mentioned, this is not something that I've played, but mentioned that there was an RP where everyone had to write with the admin or
Oh,
have a
yeah.
thread with
Oh,
the admin.
it maybe was her. I don't remember, but I remember the conversation you're talking about. That
And
blows my mind. That's so
it,
weird.
but I don't think forcing anybody to write anything that they don't want to write is going to yield positive results.
Mm-hmm.
So like, no offense to that like person, I don't mean to call them out, but like that's another example that we know exists in the world
Mm-hmm.
of like being told who and what to write with.
Yep.
And it's like, no. The only exception to this rule ish is if you voluntarily sign up for a event where
Mm-hmm.
you're partnered with somebody. So
Yeah.
we've had events or spoof days in the past where we've like had people go under the a love potion. And they didn't get to choose who that effect was with.
Yeah.
Then you had to write, if you signed up for the event, you then had to write with that person because you signed up for the event.
Yep. And I think
Uh,
there's one other small exception that I want to mention.
oh,
If you're the admin, if you are the
yeah,
main person that set up the role play, so I don't mean mods, but I mean like there's always like one, right? That's really the leader. If that's you, then I do believe that you should write with everyone. You let them into your role play, you should at least try to write with them at least once, right?
but I think that that's the difference between a rule and an expectation. Like you
Yeah.
would never write that the admin has to write with everybody.
No,
Um,
I would never write
also,
that.
it's also if the person doesn't want to write with you, like it'd be a weird, interesting thing. But if
Yeah.
like you don't want to necessarily make the person then feel that they have to write with you as the admin,
Exactly. Which that has happened
because
before
they're an
too. Like
admin.
we've had people join our role plays and they really just joined because like their friend was interested in our role play and they
Yeah,
joined with their friend. And it's really that person that wanted to write with us and then the friend joined and the friend only really wants to play with their one friend and so then I would end up never writing with them, which is fine because they made that choice, right? I didn't make that
yeah.
choice for
So
them.
it's that difference between a rule and an expectation, and I think that like is a mod or an admin expectation that you should
Mhm.
strive to write with every person
Yeah.
at least once.
Yeah. If you're going to take the
Um,
time to be like the main leader of the role play, you should do that because otherwise it's just kind of like, well, why'd you let them in if they weren't worthy to write with you? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That could be over time. I mean, and that's also another thing where it's like over time, and it doesn't necessarily have to be every single character that person makes.
Yeah.
Like it could be a little bit looser.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So those are the three that I can really think of that I don't like.
Yeah. Those if I see things like that, those are kind of like I really don't think this space is for me. You know, that's kind of what how those make me feel.
Yes.
It's not just like with some of the things like if I don't see hiatus requirements, then I don't like it, but I don't necessarily feel like completely unwelcome. But if I see things like RP lock requirements about who you write or play with or a password in the rules, like to me, that space is not suitable for Karens. And I mean that is me, not as the meme Karen, right?
Wait, which they're the same?
No. Girl,
No.
please.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the spicy part. If we hurt your feelings, I'm sorry, that wasn't our intention. It's just, we're just trying to share our opinions. And tell us if we hurt your feelings, some rules that we like that you hate. There we go. We'll be even then.
Exactly. Please hurt our feelings. That's what we're here for.
That's true.
All
right. Is there anything else that we want to say to wrap this up?
I don't think so.
Okay.
This seems pretty well wrapped for me.
Okay. So on as far as The Sims goes, Landon is still on maternity leave because she's raising little Tormund right there, and Malcolm has now finally gotten his dream job, and hopefully he'll get promoted there too because he's got the skill point that he needs. So he should be getting a promotion when he gets home from work. Hopefully that'll happen next time. But I'm gonna go ahead and save my game and get it closed. And Landon, do you have an article for us today?
I do have an article for us today. I was thinking, because I really just wanted to see a beautiful photo.
Okay.
And these are some beautiful photos that were taken because there was a blood moon
What?
eclipse that happened earlier this month. Like the full moon was a blood moon eclipse.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm throwing it in the chat, and there's two beautiful, stunning photos that came from that, or more than two, I should say. But
okay, I'm waiting for the game to close fully. As soon as it does, I will bring up the article. But we love a good just like aesthetic.
super flower blood moon. Yeah, no, the aesthetic of the first one, I'm like, holy shit, man.
Lily. Ooh, I love that name, Bree. That's beautiful. All right, Landon. If your
Getting a
spare
baby
is a
named
girl,
Lily.
if your spare is a girl, we'll have a Lily.
Listen, Bree.
I assume you want that for a sim, Bree, and not for like if they adopt a pet. But let me know if you're saying that for like if they adopt a cat or a dog, because that's an option too. We'll get to name those. Okay, what's happening? The game's not closing. There we go. Oh.
Oh.
Are we back? Sorry, I accidentally paused everything for a second. My bad. The Sims is a massive game and I have lots of mods, so it takes it a second to do things, yeah. But here we go. It's opening now. Just a second, and y'all will be able to see it. Okay. Here we go. So stunning photos of this morning's super flower blood moon. Holy crap, that is beautiful. Oh my god.
That name is an aesthetic in itself.
Look at this. Oh man, I wonder what kind of lens they used and stuff to make this photo happen. This is beautiful.
I'm sure there's probably a lot of editing happening as well, but
I'm sure. But like, wow.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah. Oh, here's another one.
Badass.
This was in Taiwan?
Yep.
Oh, this one looks good too. Oh, I love this. Oh, that's nice.
It's pretty nice.
They got just a little partial there in California.
This is a rose. And then that one is gorgeous.
Oh. Oh, I think this is my favorite one with the trees. And it's so dark.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful.
Oh, I
And
love this.
it's just so nice to like be reminded that the earth is uh that the moon is so beautiful and like you can see these amazing things that are happening all around us every month.
And we have something so unique on our planet, you know, because of the moon is at just the right distance and size from Earth that when it gets between the Earth and the sun, we have eclipses. Most planets, this is not a possible phenomenon,
Yeah.
right? And this is only a possible phenomenon on Earth for a certain period of time. Eventually, it will not be anymore because the distances between the Earth and the moon will shift to the point that we don't get eclipses so much anymore.
That's so crazy to think about. I mean, and this is
Yeah.
gonna be in the 1,000 million years,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. Not in our lifetimes or anything like that. Not, I mean, forever. But there probably won't. Humans probably won't even be a thing anymore by the time that's not. You know.
a thing, but or
Hmm.
at least we won't be on the earth. But yeah.
Maybe we'll be on Elon Musk's Mars colony.
Oh no! Please don't make me follow this up Lord Elon Musk.
Sorry, I'll stop. I'll stop. I don't want to manifest it.
Dead inside. Um,
But this is beautiful. Thank you for sharing these, Landon. I really like these photos. I'm staying on this one so much because I love it so much. But these are
it,
all
it
stunning.
deserves to be a phone background. I'm just
It
saying.
really does. Oh, this will make such a good phone background. I hope this person, this Instagram person put this as their phone background for a minute because this is a really good one.
They deserve it.
Hmm. All
All
right,
right.
y'all. I'm gonna find someone to raid while I'm working on that. Landon, tell everybody where they can find you.
They can find me at Land in Maine on Instagram and TikTok, or Land in Revere. Nope, we're not gonna go with that one. No, Land in Reverie on Instagram and Etsy, or on TikTok and Etsy if they would like. I
Ooh.
post fun things and tarot related stuff.
Uh-huh.
Also, my Twitter is especially spicy. I had a Pride hot take, so you can come watch that.
Oh,
Not watch it, but
is it part of the Kink It Pride discourse?
yes, which I don't
Okay.
know why we're
Don't
talking.
say it. Don't spoil it for me. I just gotta go watch it. I don't want to know. I'll go watch your TikTok to find your hot
It's
take.
not a TikTok. It's a on
Oh,
Twitter.
oh, okay. On Twitter. On
So
Twitter. Okay.
you can find me wherever you want.
All right. Very cool. It looks like I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody that's live right now. None of my friends are live.
I have
Um,
a friend who is live.
okay, so if you could then put their name in the Twitch chat so that I can do the raid properly for them. And while Landon is doing that, I will tell y'all where to find me. Right here on Twitch. Every Thursday, we have Artistic License starting at 6:30. All times are Eastern. And we have Interstage Window starting at noon on Saturdays. And next week for Interstage Window, what are we talking about, Landon? What are we doing?
We are doing one of my favorite things. We are doing our first piece of media, our first media review, and we're going to be doing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
That's right. I am there. This is therapizing myself.
Can I
Okay, I'm
spoil something? I was going to say, can I call you out on something?
yeah.
My favorite text that I received from Karen this week was, "Oh man, I'm a fan of the Harry Potter series again."
It's true. Okay, it's a little bit of therapy for me because like I loved Harry Potter for so long. I met so many friends and made so many connections because of this. And so it was incredibly disappointing for me when a couple of years ago, you know, J.K. Rowling started liking those tweets and then she started actually tweeting turfy stuff. And then she made that whole manifesto and it just like it broke my heart on a level that a celebrity should not be able to do, like a ridiculous stupid level. Like I should not be letting a celebrity into my heart in that way. So, yeah, I didn't want nothing to do with anything Harry Potter for a while. So this is a little bit therapy for me trying to get over it, trying to like reconnect with the material. So this is going to be a little bit of a dissection. There's probably going to be some negativity there. So if you don't want to hear the ways in which Harry Potter sucks, don't come because rereading the books, I can say after all of that happened, I have a little bit of a different perspective on some things. However, I still absolutely love Harry Potter. That has not changed.
And then we're going to get into it next week. And I think that a huge part of it is that we should probably discuss, and we'll talk about this too, is discussing the fallout of everything too. But yeah, no, it is it. It's gonna be very fun. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for this new form that we're gonna be doing. Hopefully we like it. Hopefully the viewers like it.
I think y'all will like it. I think y'all will really enjoy
A lot of
it. All right. And a lot of this is going to be like we're starting with Harry Potter because we're both super, super familiar with
Oh
it.
yeah.
But a lot of this is going to be introducing Landon to things that she didn't watch when she was a teenager, like the rest of us did. So,
Also making Karen read fairy porn. What?
yeah, we'll do that at some point too. All right. So that being said, let's raid this Pug Zoomies. Let me open up their Twitch just to make sure that they're not like on a break or something. Then we'll go right into them. Oh, they are on a Be Right Back. But they're doing a 12-hour stream right now. Holy crap.
And
How long are they?
He's subs to the show. He's watched it a few times for us.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and raid. I know he's going to Be Right Back right now, but y'all be patient with him, and we're going to raid into Pug Zoomies.
And he's very sweet. He's a very sweet guy.
Okay. All right, here we go, y'all. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to make it a great day.
And don't forget to be awesome.
All right. Bye, y'all. Have fun.